Welcome to Philosophy in BIM. Today I'm going to talk about some of the graphic issues that I'm seeing a lot when it comes to using some download manufacturer family content. Okay, well, at the end of the video, you will learn how to address this issue so that when it comes to using some of this content, then you'll be able to get the correct graphics on your project. Well, here's an example. So let's look at it in the 3D view. So I have a various chair and table families here. So these are some of the content that I download from different manufacturer website. They are pretty well-known manufacturer content that we use a lot in the design industry. So as you can see that these families, I have some tables and chairs. As you can see, all the chairs, let's go to take a look in the section view here. They are all sitting on a floor, or actually associated with level 1, as you can see that. So we go to a angle view here. They are essentially sitting on the correct elevation, if you will. Okay, so let's take a look at the floor plan. So as you can see that some of the chairs actually look quite odd, as you can probably figure out what the issue is. So instead of the chair being under the table, you'll see some of the chairs actually sitting on the table, right? So that's the graphic issue that I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to fix these graphic issues. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this chair as an example. Like I said, this is one of the download content that I've come across. So let's take a look at how this works in the family editor setting. So I'm going to go ahead and select the chair and hit edit family. Okay, as you can see, well, the chair has all the 3D geometry model. You can see from anything to the back, to the armrest, or the seating, or even the wheel, or the support. Alright, everything looks quite normal. However, let's look at it in the plan view here, in the family setting. So let's go to the reference level here. Let's take a look. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to talk about what happens here. As you can kind of see that, there is some sort of white space here, kind of actually covering up the actual geometry. And so if I select it by filter, you'll see that there are some detail items as well as some lines here. So there are 4 detail items and there are 49 lines types, or actually line in this family. So let's go ahead and select them and isolate them. So once I select all of them, I'm going to go to the eyeglasses and say isolate element. So you can see that these are just symbolic line here. So if I select them, you can see that under the properties here, these are the symbolic line. Okay. And this is basically the masking region. Okay. So I'm going to further select them again. I'm only going to isolate just the detail item this time. I'm gonna do it backward actually, because I want to hide them. I'm gonna select these lines and then choose hide elements. Okay, so now I do have these other again, these are the masking region. So I'm gonna go ahead and select one masking region and kind of break it down for you. So what happens is, you can see that there's a masking region here, and pay attention to the properties over here. The 2 settings that you want to pay attention is the checkbox that says draw in foreground. Currently, these masking region are resting on a reference level that being like a 0 elevation, and it has this checkbox here. So with that being said, what happens is this masking region, I'm going to turn everything back on again. is only going to mask out anything underneath the 3D geometry. And therefore, again, these masking region not only is going to cover up anything from a 3D geometry standpoint, but it also going to cover up the table. But why is that really? What's that really doing in the background? So let's take a look again. Let's go back to the family here. When this masking region, go back, let's see here, just go and select the masking region again. With this setting being on, essentially what happens is this masking region is actually going to hovering at the highest point of where this 3D geometry is. So let's take a look into the front elevation. Even though it says it is set on reference level, but the truth is the masking region is going to be hovering at the highest point of this chair, which is the top of this back seat here. And what that means is when this chair is being placed in the project, because like I said, let's go back here, because this chair back is taller than the table, so therefore the masking region is actually going to cover up the tabletop, which as a result has these kind of graphics here. It just looks kind of funny and it looks incorrect. So how do we get around it? So there's a way. So let's go back to the reference level of this chair. So what you need to do two things. First thing is you need to select the masking region, much like this, and you need to uncheck this box that says join foreground. So I'm gonna uncheck it. Alright, so that's the step one. The second step I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to go to the elevation view. I'm gonna go to the front elevation view. Let's turn on the hidden line mode here. What I want is I want the graphic to look like what we perceive. In other words, I want the chair to look like it's tucked under the table. So with that being said, I'm gonna have to go to the Create tab. I'm gonna have to add a reference plane. Simply, I'm gonna draw a reference plane above. I'm gonna draw slightly above the seating of the chair. Since this is not a parametric family, I'm just gonna try to have the reference plane slightly above this the seating. Let's go ahead and put some dimension there. All right, I'm just gonna try to round this up to say 21 inch right there. All right, that's good enough. The second thing I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to give it a name here because I have to name the reference plane. I'm just gonna go ahead and say seating height, just like that. Okay, now that I have a reference plane name, I'm gonna need to go back to the reference level. I'm gonna go ahead and select the masking region once again, and this time I'm going to edit the work plane by choosing this one here. And what I want to do is I want to edit the work plane of the masking region. So from here, I'll be able to change from a reference level to the reference plane with the name that I just created called seating height. I'm just going to go ahead and switch it there and hit OK. So what happens now is I'm basically switching the masking region to have it associate with this reference plane. So instead of being at this height at the back of the chair, it's now resting on the seating area, on the seating height there. So that should be good enough to fix the graphic issues. So let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and load it back to the project. Accept the changes. And there it is. It still looks kind of funny because, again, because we have other symbolic line there, is also actually taller than the rest. So let's go ahead and make more changes there. Gonna go back to the family again. So now that we know this is gonna address the issue, so I'm gonna go ahead and select everything there. And let's just pick all the detail line, symbolic line in one selection. Same concept here. I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck this box and then go ahead and add the work plane and simply choose this one here instead. All right, now that I fix it, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the rest of the masking region. Select the filter, select all the masking region this time, and simply just again uncheck this box altogether and use edit work plane and select this one once again. Hit OK. All right, so I believe I picked up all the graphics changes that I need. So I'm going to load it back to the project again. Accept the changes once again, and let's take a look. There it is. Now you can see the graphics changes immediately right there, and that looks more correct. So no matter what you do now, so if I tuck the chair further and backward, you'll see the graphics that actually looks correct this time. All right. So in other words, anytime you're using any downloaded third-party content, when you run into issues, when the issue is that the chair has a masking region inside the family, it looks something like that, you're gonna have to do this little fix in order to get the graphics corrected. So you can see that there's all these kind of content that you will have to do, unfortunately, when it comes to using any third-party content from some website. So, all right, I hope these tips help you today and you'll be able to apply it to your project. Stay tuned for other future videos from Philosophy BIM. Hope you like this one. All right, I'll see you next time. Thank you.